Hello and welcome to Loops and Lore with Meg. Today I am going to be looking forward to the next year. I needed a little bit of a pick-me-up this morning, so I decided to go ahead and film a video. And I have went through my shelves and picked out 25 books that I have not read, that I have shelved on here. I have my TBR cart also, but I picked 25 books that I haven't read yet that I want to read in 2025. So these all are a mix of genres. I went through my whole shelf and kind of picked a range of stuff. So ideally, I read these lovelies, they stay in their spot. If not, then they go and they make way for maybe a book from my TBR shelf. But there is a mix of authors on here, and I have multiple books by these authors. So I just selected the one by them that I feel like I'm the most likely to pick up next or the most excited about. But if I read a book by the same author that is on my TBR, then that counts as completing this challenge too. So hopefully at the end of next year, I can react to this video and be like, hey, did I read these 25 books? And hopefully the answer is yes, or at least close, but we will see. And without further ado, let's just get into these books. But first off, we are going to do Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. I have read multiple books by this author so far, and I still have multiple books by this author on my TBR. I still need to finish the Atlas 6 trilogy. I still have one for my enemy, I think. So there's multiple options for this author, but I am intrigued by this one, I think, the most right now. I think because it's a different genre than the others, I do believe, if I remember correctly. I have no idea what this is about, so these I'm kind of going into blind, but I have liked this author's writing in the past, so that is why I have selected this one to be a part of this journey. Next, I have The Mercy of the Gods by James S.A. Corey. Now, this one I have started, and I decided to stop at the time because I was doing the audiobook before I had the physical copy. And I was getting a little lost on the characters that were in here. And I think I felt the same way reading The Expanse, which I still need to finish that as well. So if I pick up any book in that series right here, then that would count too. But I felt the same thing with The Expanse, that there was a lot of information and characters being thrown at you that I needed to read the physical copy to at least get a start with the characters and stuff before maybe I could add in the audio and do both. But I put it down to wait on this. I have this now, so I definitely want to read this sometime soon. Next is Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. I have read this, but I don't remember anything about it, and therefore I feel like I need to reread this before I continue on with the series. And I do want to continue on with the series. So this is on here kind of as a TBR book because I don't remember a lot about this book. I remember that it was a sci-fi world with necromancers, and I thought that was cool, but I couldn't tell you anything about the plot, and therefore I feel like this just went back onto my TBR because I can't continue the series until I read this one. Next, we have Babel by R.F. Kuang. I have read the Poppy War, the first book in that series. I don't have the rest of the books yet, so this is the next R.F. Kuang that I have on my shelves. I really enjoyed the Poppy War. It's one that I think is going to take me a lot of time to get to finishing that series because the material is so dark and heavy. I don't know much of what this is about other than I think it's like a historical fantasy again. So I'm looking forward to it. I really liked her writing, so this will be fun, hopefully. Although Poppy War I wouldn't call fun at all. It was a good read though, so hoping the same for this. Next is another epic fantasy series that I have multiple on my shelf and haven't started yet, and that is The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. I have read their short story Sci-Fi collection and really loved it. So I'm hoping that that continues on within this because I thought that their writing was really, really good. I've heard great things about this, but I've also not seen a lot of like a lot of people talking about it. So I could not tell you much of what it's about other than it is an epic fantasy. And I love me some good epic fantasy. And this is thick, and all the books are this thick. So I got a lot to read and catch up on here. Can you sense the theme of like, I have these, but I couldn't tell you much about them, but I'm excited about them still? I don't know how that works. Yeah, it's at one point I knew about them, but now I don't. So yeah. Next is Black Horse by Rebecca Roanhorse. Black Horse. Next is Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is a Native American mythology fantasy, and I've heard it's so good, and I have been meaning to read it since it came out, which I think it came out in like 2016, maybe 2017. This is copyright 2020. I thought it was longer than that, but I mean, that's still 4 years, it's gonna be 5 years. So it's been long enough. I need to read this one because it's just, everything about this makes me like super intrigued. I love the cover. I love the Native American aspect of it. I have read her middle grade book and really enjoyed it. So everything points to me really liking this. I am excited. Next is another that I know if I just read it, I'm most likely gonna love it, and that is Liza Lockmore by Scott Lynch. Some of my favorite booktubers have raved about this book for years, and I just haven't bit the bullet and started it. It is a heist tale, which I love. It is, you know, like a found group type setting, which I love. Morally gray characters, I believe, which I love. So everything about this points to me really loving it. I just have not started it yet. So this is definitely high on my priority list. One thing you'll notice with this whole thing is a lot of these are first books in series also, which really opens up a can of worms because I already have so many series I'm in the middle of. But I still need to start these. So continuing on with the first in the series theme is The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. I once again got this because I thought the cover looked incredible, and it's, you know, fantasy, hopefully on the epic scale, so it's just everything about this points to me loving it. And I have 4 of the books in the series without starting it, so it's just one of these that I keep on seeing on like Book Outlet or my local bookstore, and so I've just picked them up as I've seen them because, like, on paper this is something I will love, and therefore when I find it on sale I need to go ahead and get it so I'm not paying for it later. And that's how my mentality works with books. So if it's a bargain and it's something that looks interesting, I typically pick it up, and it can become an issue, hence me having no room on my shelves and needing to get to these soon. Another first in the series is Assassin's Apprentice by Roman Hobb. I got this little illustrated special edition because I was like, everyone I know loves this book. I should love this book. And it definitely opens another can of worms for me because if I like this one, then I continue on with this series, but then there's also the whole like universe of this author that I'd be getting into, which is what I'm finding with Brandon Sanderson right now. So, you know, this might be my next deep dive into, like I'm doing with Brandon Sanderson right now. So I am really looking forward to this. I know that my best friends Christina and Jessica, who used to have the Game on Tomes channel, loved this, so it's just I need to get to it finally. Another first in the series. All of my fantasy, I think, are first in the series. And this is A Deadly Education by Noe Novik. I have read this author before and really loved Uprooted by them. Fantastic book. So again, on paper, this is totally me. Dark academia, magic school, yes please. So I need to get to this soon and see if I really do enjoy this series because I've heard some like hit and miss things, like certain people really love it and certain people didn't connect with it. I'm hoping I'm in the love it category because I really like the covers and the styles of these books. So I would like to be able to keep an author that I have loved in the past on my shelves. Yeah, you're right. It's a first in the series. It's The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. I got this as my book club Christmas book last year, I believe. And I really need to read it so that way I can let the person know who got it for me that I loved it. Hopefully I loved it. But it is, again, an epic fantasy series, and I have book 1 and book 2, so I need to go ahead and read these. I feel like a broken record and like I'm saying the same thing over and over, and I'm sorry about that, but that's, you know, how my TBR is right now, is a bunch of first in the series that I just need to start. But the problem is I have a bunch that I need to finish also. But yeah, this is intriguing to me because I think I've heard some like, maybe there's like bone magic stuff in it, and I think that's really cool. Whew, I think we're almost halfway done, if not a little over halfway done, hopefully. So next, Stephen King fairy tale. I have never read a Stephen King book. So I don't know how I like about his work. I just lied. I did read the first Dark Tower book. I didn't much care for it. So hopefully I like this. I just realized that I have read a Stephen King book. So anyways, I have had this since it came out, and have yet to pick it up. I do think that some people have said that it's a weird Stephen King book, like it's not stereotypical Stephen King. I'm not huge into horror, so I don't mind that. I am not a horror girly, sorry. I don't like being scared. So this being a little bit more on the, I think, a literary fantastical side, I'm looking forward to it. So we'll see how I feel about this when I get to it. Okay, another first in the series, but it's sci-fi this time, and this is Too Like Lightning by, I really messed up that title. It is Too Like Lightning by Ada Palmer. I feel like this has too many syllables back to back that my tongue just cannot say. I have a hard time pronouncing things to begin with. So, from what I understand, this is an epic sci-fi space opera adventure, and I really love those. So I need to get to this. Next is To Sleep in the Sea of Stars, and To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, not the sea of the. Okay, next is To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. This is one of my favorite authors growing up. I loved the Aragon series, and so when he brought out Sci-Fi, I was like, I have to get it and read it. Well, I got it and never did read it, so I need to go ahead and get to this. I will say this is like a gorgeous cover. I love the depth of the blue here, and I love that it's just like super simple, his name. I thought that was neat when it came out, so yeah. But Sci-Fi, I need to read more, and this is good. I want it to be good, hopefully. Next is another author that I have multiple books that will work for him, and this is The Collapsing Empire by John Scalzi. I think I have about 3 John Scalzi books that are standalones, and then I have this one and its sequel. And I think the sequel to Old Man's War is one that I have. I loved Old Man's War. I also just recently listened to Dispatch by him, which is an Audible like original thing. And that was really cool. I really like his writing. I think it's super easy to get into and grab into, but it's captivating still. So I hope that I like this as much as Old Man's War. And I need to continue the Old Man's War trilogy, series, saga. I don't know how many books are in it. Because I read the first one and then stopped. But I mean, I love the first one. I think about the first one quite a bit. So I'm hoping that I feel the same way about his other books. Next is a book that I have had on my shelf for too long. And that is Space Opera by Catherine N. Valente. I mean, it says it on the cover why I got it. Space opera. I thought it was so cool with the disco planet. I think this is supposed to have humor in it, which can be hit or miss for me. I don't always jive with humor in books. It very rarely makes me laugh, which is sad. I wish that I guess had a funnier humor. I don't know. But I've heard that this is really, really good. So I've kept it on my shelf after, you know, multiple moves with this book, and it's just, it needs to be read now, so that way I can know for sure whether or not I like it or not, and whether or not to keep it on my shelves. This is one that could definitely go either way. Next is another author that I have a couple different books that will work for, but this is The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. I still need to finish the 5th season trilogy. I've read the first one, so I have book 2 and book 3 of that I could finish up, or I can start this series, duology. I think it's just going to be a duology by then. I believe this is more sci-fi speculative than dystopian, like 5th season. But I think this has superheroes, which I think sounds really cool. So I definitely need to get to this at some point. I love the graphic covers on these. I think the colors and the color schemes and everything is so cool. So I definitely need to give this one a go soon. Okie dokie. Next is The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. I have heard such great things about this, and I got this book years ago, and I need to go ahead and do it, so that way I know whether or not I need to hunt for the rest of the series in hardback to match this, which is, you know, a thing I run into a lot is I get the first books and then I take so long to read them that I can't get the second and thirds or etc. to match, and that sucks. So I really need to know if I like this or not, so I can start hunting for the rest of the series. I've heard it's great. I've heard that it has really cool, like cultural representation in it that, you know, you typically don't see in fantasy worlds. So I really, really need to get to this. A lot of these I could have done a 5-star prediction that they would have been on it too. So, maybe if you want to see one of those videos, let me know and I can pull some of my TBR books that I think are going to be 5 stars. And I can do a video on that. Next is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I've had this since it came out because I went to the signing event for it. So yeah, this is a signed copy. I don't own the second book yet because I actually went through and censored myself of not buying this second book that I haven't read the first. But I love Leigh Bardugo. Love is a strong word. I really like Leigh Bardugo's YA when I read it at the time. It is something that I don't think I'm going to continue on with. I have not read King of Stars. I technically own King of Stars, but it is on my unhaul pile right now. Just because I don't think I want to continue on with that world. But this being dark academia with, like, you know, a secret society setting is so intriguing. So I definitely want to continue on this. I also have Familiar by her, so that could definitely be one that I can pick up this year. But both of these are pretty much what I have left on my TBR from Leigh Bardugo. The rest, like I said, I've either read or I've decided not to continue on with. So, this, hopefully I'll get to it finally. Okay, 6 more books left. Next, The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel. This is the last Emily St. John Mandel that I have on my TBR. I have read everything else that I own by her. So it will be nice to go ahead and get this finished up. I also think that this ties in with some of her other books. And I think, like, this one came out before Sea of Tranquility. But Sea of Tranquility, like, mentions stuff with this book, I believe. So, I don't know how they tie in together or what order you're supposed to read them in. But I read Sea of Tranquility first, and I'm going to read this one, hopefully this year. so far, all of her books has been very high 4-star, if not 5-star reads. So I am looking forward to this one for sure. Okay, book number 20 is The Wanderers by Meg Howry. This is, I think, a little bit more on the literary side of things, but it is still sci-fi, and it has a social sci-fi aspect to it. I honestly got this because of the cover, and that's why it's probably sat on my shelf, because I was like, ooh, this is gorgeous, and then I haven't done anything with it. So I need to get to this. I don't know much about what it's about. So it says, in the age of space exploration, we search to find ourselves. I love space exploration, so let's find ourselves. I don't know. Can you tell that I'm just like bullshitting my way through this song? Because I definitely am. Next is Horizon Zero by David Yoon. Version Zero by David Yoon. I got this because it gave me Blake Crouch vibes. Dark Matter, Recursion, Upgrade are some of my favorite kind of, I don't know what genre of sci-fi you'd call that, but that kind of social but like super specific science-based aspect. This reminded me of that, so I'm hoping that it does, and that's why I got it. If not, it will be a sad day, and hopefully I like it for other reasons. But it definitely gave me that we're gonna take a aspect of science and like sprinkle in like almost like a literary but like thriller way. I don't know. So it just says shut down and restart, and I was like, that sounds cool. I'm gonna get this, okay? So fingers crossed for Blake Crouch vibes. Next is a literary sci-fi-ish book, I think, and this is The Lightest Objects in the Universe by Kimmy Essel. Hopefully I pronounced it right. You will find I will butcher names, and I will butcher the most common names in the world. And I'm sorry, I should really do like practice pronouncing. That's not, see. So anyways, this I got from the library, Friends of the Library book sale years ago. I'm pretty sure it was back when I was still making videos with my original channel, which would have been around 2017, 2018. And I think it's like I said, I think it's literary with like a sprinkle of sci-fi. And I'm pretty sure I got this because it was mentioned like if you like Emily St. John Mandel to like pick this up. And so I'm hoping it has that same kind of really beautiful writing style, but a little bit of sci-fi elements, and fingers crossed again. I don't know. Next is another book I got from the Friends of the Library book sale years ago, and I think even like before I started BookTube. And it's because it is like one of the fathers of sci-fi, you could say, and that is Contact by Carl Sagan. Aliens, I think? Question mark? I've heard this is, you know, one of the must-reads of sci-fi. And I thought it was super cool that it was like, you know, one of the old like original covers of it. I don't know if it is the original. Like, is this a first edition? I don't know. We can peruse. No, but it's from 85. So I mean, it's older than I am. So I really love vintage sci-fi covers. I'm hit or miss on whether or not I like the vintage sci-fi stories. So I'm really hoping I like this. So we'll get to this soon. I think I've been putting that off because it slightly scares me. So maybe we can delve into that when I actually read it. And the final book on the 25 books for next year is When We Were Vikings by Andrew David MacDonald. I picked this up, I think, at Ollie's. For like a couple bucks because I was like, ooh, I love the cover. And then I know nothing more than that. So it's like, look how pretty. It's so pretty. With like the gold, like, I don't know if you can see the gold reflectiveness on it, but and then the gold Viking helmet. So yeah, I don't know anything about this. Other than it's pretty and I think it's literary. So yeah, what a way to end this collection. As you can see, some of them I know a little bit more about, but a lot of these I'm going into blind, which honestly, as a mood reader, I kind of like to go into things blind. I like to know what the genre is, and that's about it. Because I feel like if I think about it too much or know too much about it, then I'm going to try to guess what's happening versus just reading and enjoying. So, you'll find that a lot of my synopses are not very clear because I don't like to know. So, if you're the same way, let me know. But these are the 25 books I'd like to read in 2025. So if any of these are on your radar or TBR or anything like that, you can let me know and we can read them together. I just realized that I filmed this whole thing without my light on, so hopefully you can see me okay. Because I'm not going to refilm it. That would be a lot of work. So anywho, if you want to read any of these with me, let me know. We can do that. I will hopefully react back to this list and see how many of these books I have read at the end of next year. I think that'd be quite fun. I don't know if I'll get to all of them. Honestly, I'm hoping, let's say 60%. If we can get 60%, I would call that a success. Because that is over half, and it's quite a bit over half, but 25 books is quite a lot in 1 year. On my best, I read over 100, but I'm trying to say words, but I'm trying to focus on quality of reading over quantity, and so I have slowed down my reading quite a bit because I'm trying to focus in on what I'm reading and really like delving into it a bit deeper than just, you know, flying through it. So that is something that I personally am focusing on. So, you know, if I hit 50 books next year, that would be crazy. Just to let you know, this year I think I've read right around 30, and it was pretty slow for the first half of the year, so I definitely think I could pick that up some. So I don't know if I want this whole TBR to be half of my reading next year is what I'm saying. So I think if I can get 60% of these, that would be a great success. And we'll see how many I get to, because that would be good. Because I have some other goals for next year that I think I'm going to make a goals video of. So that way you can kind of know what to hold me accountable to next year. So that is it. Like and subscribe. Hope you have a great time watching this video, and let me know what else you would like to see. Happy reading. Stay cozy. Stay crafty. Bye.